and we settle into this late morning practice, resting into the exhales. Whatever you've been doing so far today, think about how that's had an impact on your body, your breath, your mind, and heart. How you come into this practice this morning. If we think of the elements, which elements do you have an affinity towards? Earth, water, fire, air, and space. In yoga, these elements can either be in harmony in our body or in disharmony. And part of the work of the practice is to bring ourselves back into harmony. Vata dosha is made up of air and space, or sometimes called air and ether. So feel the air as it enters your body. Notice the space it can take up in the lungs and chest. How the diaphragm moves with the air. Feel for this muscle between your lungs and your abdomen. As it descends, massages the stomach and the kidneys. There is a fascial sac that contains the liver, the stomach, the intestines, the pancreas, the gallbladder. And inside this sac are individual organs, a circulatory lymph system, interconnecting fascia. And then in the back body, the kidneys are each encased in their little fascial sacs. But they're independent of the front abdomen sac, partly so they can move more freely. The diaphragm really parachutes up under the rib cage, but it has these fascial tentacles from its center that come down to the spine behind the navel, connecting to the transverse processes on the side. And it's these anchors that hold down the diaphragm so it can move. So when we inhale, these anchors pull gently on the spine to draw the diaphragm down. And the anchors allow for the diaphragm to parachute up under the ribs. This allows us to really move the air into the space of our bodies and then move it out again. I have a friend who's been doing a lot of human dissection, and he says that these tentacles from the diaphragm are woven into the same fascia that is the tendon that comes up from the psoas, and that really you can't tease them apart. They both anchor to the spine together. It's all interconnected. So breathe into the whole circle of your ribs and feel for tissue moving inside your body. Invite the back of the lungs to fill. the back of the diaphragm to descend. Most of us only use 1/3 of our lung capacity, but we can train ourselves to use more. Opening the back of the lungs, the sides of the lungs. Opening the side ribs. Feeling for the space to expand. And then let your mind go to yourself on a cellular level. All these cells forming communities that are tissues and organs. And then think of the molecules and atoms that make up these structures in our body. Visualize the space between the nucleus of an atom and the electrons spinning around the nucleus. And feel into the whole constellation of yourself, the whole galaxy. Breathe space between the back ribs, the side ribs. Breathe a gentle lift to the heart and the armpits. And as you expand your torso, feel for the moving fascia. Feel how the organs inside the abdomen rock. Three-dimensional breath is healthy for us on so many levels. Now let's turn on the Ujjayi breath and inhale the sound of ah through your nostrils and exhale the sound of ha. Try to make this ocean wave breath smooth. Let it wash into you and wash back out. The Kapha dosha is made of water and earth. Feel the fluid motion inside your body as you breathe. Think of yourself 70% water, and let this water float and move with the breath, with moving air inside. And think of the heaviness of water, how it sits in lakes and pools and stream beds. And let the water inside of you help to ground you to earth. And from the lower body touching earth, imagine you can grow roots. And as you breathe, the roots pull up water and nutrients from the soil. And as you breathe, you exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide in space, inside and outside the body. Pitta dosha is made up of fire and air. Feel into your own fire, the heat in your body. the beat of your heart, the movement of your thoughts, the fire of your passions. The fire that drives your intentions. Visualize these elements living in healthy harmony. There's enough space. The air moves in and out. We breathe into the space. We invite space into the fascial web. Feel for a fluid and earthy heaviness and strength, and the fire that carries us from pose to pose and breath to breath. The fire our will and intentions ride on. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts and bring these doshas, these elements, into harmony in our practice today. Namaste. Okay, let's come to standing and begin with a little fluid movement to open up that space inside. Let's roll our shoulders side to side, stepping wide and stretching the diagonal of this fascial web. And notice if you're tight anywhere and what it might be that you've done as you raise your elbows and stretch. Is it yard work? Are you hauling firewood? Have you been walking or raking leaves? Whatever you've been doing, what impact does it have on your body? And how can the yoga practice either stretch you open or strengthen you for the next time you do your activity? Can it help us develop awareness? And then let's just bring the arms side to side, flowing into the stretch. Let your rib cage move in your lumbar spine, your thoracic spine. Try to invite that channel of the spine to become water-like. And then let the arms come down and up to the left and around to the right. And feel for that fascial web opening. And as you reach your arms, notice, is there a stretch along the spine? It's all interconnected. And then let your arms come down and up to the right and around. Fluid breath, fluid movement, feet wide open on the earth. Can you feel grounded and fluid? Feel into the fire of the movement. And release your arms down and let your hips move in a figure 8. And the arms can follow. And the arms can rise and flow. Stretching the body. And feel into how if you kind of hitch a hip, you might be able to get a stretch in those outer hips and up into the lumbar spine. Bring your hands down to your knees, feet together, and let the knees move in a circle. And take the circle the other way. And then step your feet a little wider and inhale, lift your heart, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone. And then exhale into your hissing cat. Right here, we inhale and exhale. Fluid motion. Inviting the spine to become fluid. I learned in this conversation with my friend who's doing all this anatomical research through dissection that our spine is really twice as big with all the fascia that connects to it around its circumference. You'd have to go in through all that fascia to get to the actual bones we see in a skeleton. Now, open your legs, heels sit bone distance wide, and root into the four corners of your open foot. And let your arms rise, palms up. Inhale, let your elbows come back, your heart lift, your arms circle around, hands back to back, and inhale, lift the heart and flow the spine over and become like an ocean wave, moving on your ujjayi breath, inhaling the ah and exhaling the ha through your nostrils. Inviting the fascia to open. Let your feet be grounded, your body water. But feel the heat you generate through the movements. And then inhale, pause with the heart lifted, palms forward or up. Stretch across your collarbones and root your tailbone. Keep pubic and tailbone aligned and lift your low rib ring. And lift the shoulder blades under the rib cage and stretch the heart skyward. And see if you can feel fascia stretching along the spine. Fluid breath. And exhale. Back up to neutral. And let your arms swing around your torso. Really try to let go. Let the arm bones traction away from the shoulder girdle. We want space in the shoulder girdle. Feel a release in the upper trap. Can you let go the arms so much that the upper muscles above the shoulder can relax, can stretch even? In a lot of research now, they're saying it's not necessarily the muscle tissue itself that gets tight, it's the fascia around the muscle that gets tight. Let your fingers and hand bones and forearm bones and humerus traction out of the shoulder girdle, relaxing, stretching this fascia. Front hand comes up to tap the lung, back hand to tap the kidney. And feel into how the twist feels in your body. Please don't force a twist. And remember, with osteoporosis, it will be a lighter movement because we don't want to force bone-on-bone compression. And then let the arms go again and traction. Invite space into the arms, the elbow, the wrist. And slow this motion. and step your left foot forward, right foot back, rock step. Ground your hands and let your arms float up, and exhale, left hand towards right hip, right hand behind you. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist towards the left leg. Inhale and exhale, flowing through the twists. See if you can develop that whole body awareness. Feel from your pelvis down into your knees and feet, and make sure your feet are aligned in a way that can support the twist. And if you feel like you're collapsing into the inner knee of the back leg, then don't twist as far or rearrange your feet so that you can support that back knee. What we become conscious of in practice, we can take into our unconscious movement during the day. We'll learn to take better care of the knee, to pay attention to what's happening in the spine. Come back to center and bend into your front knee, remembering not to take the front knee ahead of your ankle, and lift your arms, Virabhadrasana 1. Now you can lift into whatever position's right for you. But wherever you are, think of lengthening the fascia from your pelvis down into your feet, from your pelvis up along the spine, through the shoulders and arms. Relax at the base of the neck and try to shine out of your back hamstring. So that back leg is lifting back as long as that feels okay on your knee. And you're lifting from pubic bone to navel, and you're thinking of the whole circumference of the spine lengthening. And then relaxing at the base of the neck. Beautiful poses. Exhale, hands to your heart, and bow yourselves forward into humble warrior. Keep the shoulder blades strong on the back. Release your wings, palms down, thumbs out, and then inhale, lift, rise again. Exhale, hands through the heart, folding forward, broad across the shoulder girdle. And inhale and exhale at your own pace, keeping that back outer heel grounded, the four corners of your front foot grounding. Inhaling and exhaling. Pause in your humble warrior. Hug in the banks of the river. Lift through the pelvic floor and really find that integration at your pelvis. One more lift into your Vira 1. Pause. Tailbone reaching for the back leg heel. So you have an arc to the spine that continues outside the body through space. And then you lift even along the back line of the spine all the way into the skull. And exhale, hands together at the heart. Release, mountain pose. Palate floating over heart, over pelvis. Let the hot air balloon lift you skyward. And even here, feel a gentle tractioning of the fascia. Maybe as that hot air balloon lifts you, you release the shoulders and you feel, oh yes, stretching in the neck. And then step right foot forward, left foot back, rock step. And ground your feet and float your arms up and exhale, right hand towards left hip. And inhale back to center and exhale, twist the other way. And follow your own breath, feeling into the fascial matrix of your own body. We continue to unfold every day as tissue dies and tissue is generated. Fluid breath. Breathe into this whole galaxy of the body, this energy network. And inhale back to center and bend your right knee out over your right ankle, and inhale, lift the arms. Rooting from the pelvis down into the four corners of each foot. Relax at the shoulder girdle. Find length to the neck. Really rooting into both front leg and back leg. Really feel into that release and grounding down. Now, can you open your fingers and stretch them wide, and then fist your hands and stretch your hands. And even here, you could fist your toes and stretch your toes and fist and stretch, getting the whole fascial matrix going. And then exhale, hands to the heart, bow forward. Humble warrior, release your wings behind you. Palms down, thumbs out. On your next inhale, rise and follow your breath. Actually, I really like it if we exhale the movement and inhale and fill the postures. Imagine you could fill the posture with vibrant prana, fiery prana. And inhale up, stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhale, fold forward and hold your humble warrior for a moment. Hug in the banks of your river. Lift up through the pelvic floor and lengthen your spine. And then grounding down, lengthen the spine some more, reach skyward. Lifting heart and gaze, keeping the back of the neck long. Three-dimensional breath invites space into the pose. Breathe into the back of the lungs. And exhale, hands to the heart, mountain pose. Pause in your mountain and come back to your three-dimensional breath. You can continue using the Ujjayi breath if that feels good to you. If it feels calming and grounding. If it's agitating, then don't do it. Fluid breath. Filling the back body. Part of what we want to do is make sure the fascia is moving internally. The breath can help us do that. Really breathe into the back of the diaphragm. Open the back ribs behind you. We create space around the spine for twists. And then either get a chair or bring in your blocks for Prasarita Padottanasana. So you can do it seated, Uptavista Konasana if you like, or you can do it standing. Okay, so you choose. And you can fold forward down to a chair or down to a piece of furniture or down to your blocks. So let's inhale first and bring our hands to the pelvic rim. Bring our thumbs back and our elbows back, stretching that pec minor that has us lean forward so often. Now press down onto your pelvis, lengthen your side bodies. Hug in the banks of your river and root your feet like you could press the mat and rip the center apart. Really stretch the mat apart. Lift up the back side bodies as you root your tailbone. Rest the base of your skull back, lengthen the back body in this back bend. Now check in with your pelvis. We want to keep pubic bone and tailbone level. We want the opening to come up the channel of the spine through the front chest. Breathe, lift to the heart center as you root your tailbone. And then exhale, fold forward, draw your inner thighs back, bring your hands to your props. And inhale, a cow. And exhale, a cat. And follow your breath with fluid movement. Stay with your Ujjayi breath if that feels good. Hear the sound of the air moving in and out of your body. As you move fluidly, really think of tractioning the pelvis back away from the head and shoulders. Think of lengthening and releasing your neck as best you can in the movements. Sometimes it's these subtle movements that open us up most. Now come back to neutral, and you can stay here lengthening from head to tailbone, or you can bring your blocks lower and take your hands wide. Take your blocks forward. And if you can reach your fingers over the front of the blocks, press the blocks down with your hands, and traction the pelvis back behind you. Fluid breath. Wide across your transverse arch from big toe, ball mount to pinky toe, ball mount. Long in your foot from the front of the foot to the heel. And then maybe you want to rock your pelvis slightly side to side. Feel where the stretch comes. Is the pelvis interconnected with the inner arm, with the armpit? Invite this fascia to open and become spacious for your twists. Now come to neutral, traction the pelvis back for a few more breaths, three-dimensional breaths. Ujjayi breaths. Let stiffness and tension roll out on that exhale, ta. And then draw your blocks back or walk towards your furniture. Place the prop underneath your face, keeping the neck long. Bring your left hand to the prop and float your right shoulder blade onto the back. Now pay attention to your left sit bone. Don't let it drop. See if it can stay where it is as you twist the spine, lifting the arm. Fluid breath. Pay attention to your left shoulder. Make sure it stays under you as support. It doesn't shift to the right. Fluid breath. Fill the pose with breath, with air, with space and sky. And then exhale, release the right wing, float the left shoulder blade onto your back, ground through the pelvis, stay stable in the arm as you lift the other wing. Even inside each pose, we balance the fire of effort with our grounding, with our water, with space and air. Exhale, release the left wing, bending the knees slightly, hands to your pelvic rim, unfold, and step your feet together, mountain pose. Rest your palate back over your heart, over your pelvis, and imagine that hot air balloon lifting you from that ping pong sized orb where your hard and soft palates meet. Feel for the stretch as the hot air balloon lifts you. Feel your feet dangling down towards earth, your hands dangling down towards earth. Allow a little tractioning in the shoulder girdle. Fluid breath. Okay, today, let's bring a block to the outside of our left foot for Garuda Asana. So it's to the pinky toe side. And we'll come through our flying cranes. A fluid breath, inhaling, we lift up, and exhaling, we relax. Feel into the four corners of your standing foot and how movement may help you root those four corners. Now everybody lean slightly forward and feel, how does that change the tension in my body? And then come back to neutral. And then lean a little back. How does that change the tension in your body? And where is the most optimal for you to be? So we play in the pose to find the most ease in our movements. And then we inhale the lifting leg, the right leg up over the left, and set it on the block. The wings rise and we cross the left wing over the right. Maybe we bring our hands back to back at the heart. Maybe we cross at the elbows. Maybe we come palm to palm. We reach the elbows away from the torso. We lengthen up through the spine and relax the shoulders away from the long spine. And then if you'd like to, you hug in the banks of your river and perhaps you lift your foot off the block, or you lighten the weight of the foot on the block. Fluid breath. Three-dimensional ujjayi breath. Feel the fire. And exhale. Elbows towards your hip creases or navel. Release your arms, float up and land. Mountain pose. Feel into the energetic difference side to side in your body. Fill your torso with breath. If you feel any tightness in your breathing space, invite the breath to massage the tight spots. Relax the shoulders away from the ears on the exhale. The palms away from the shoulders. Ground the tailbone and lift the base of the skull and breathe space into the body. Find that balance between hugging in and relaxing. Moving the bones towards the position where you will find the most ease. Then we save our energy for the things we want to do. We move through the world with ease. Okay, let's take the block to the outside of the right foot. And let's inhale, float the left leg up and down. And if it's accessible to you, you bend and straighten the right knee, keeping your arches active so that you keep the knee balanced. We float on the breath. I love doing all this research on the spine because so much of the fascia comes in and links to it. Feel how your arms are connected into your torso, your moving hips, your leg. And inhale, lift the left foot, bring it across the right leg and set the transverse arch on your block. Exhale, right wing over left into your chosen position. Reach the fingertips slightly skyward. Take the elbows slightly away from your back. Lean back. And then settle into the position and see if you can lighten the left foot on the block. Now come back to your ujjayi breath. Rooted to earth. The fire of our intention. Invite air and space into the body. And then flow like water, elbows towards navel. Release your wings and float and land. Mountain pose. Again, the hot air balloon lifts us and we breathe space between the vertebrae. We relax the shoulders to stretch the fascia of the neck. We release all the way down the arms into the hands. We breathe into the back body. Feel for your diaphragm moving. Can you feel it anchored to the spine? Fluid breath. So you can imagine if there's tension in any of this fascia, it can make breathing three-dimensionally more challenging. Those of us with scoliosis, we have some turning and twisting to the spine, so the diaphragm has to respond to that. But by breathing deep into the body, By pulling the diaphragm down on the inhale, mushrooming it up on the exhale, we can actually create some freedom in the fascia along the spine. Relax your shoulders on the exhale. Find the balancing point where you have most ease. And then step your feet wide on the mat and turn your toes out this time. Follow your hands out towards your knees as you bend your knees. And lift your arms up into your cactus position. Really feel your shoulder blades on the back. Hug your shoulder blades together. Release them wide. Hug them together. Release them wide. Hug and release. Feel those muscles that hug your shoulder blades together. In a lot of us, those muscles are weak and long. So we want to feel them. Hug the shoulder blade together. Release. Hug and release. Hug and release. Now exhale, pinkies towards each other, elbows towards each other. Inhale, lift the heart, stretch the front of the spine. Exhale, stretch the back of the spine. Fluid breath, fluid movement. Let's now come to a pose and inhale, fill it. And then exhale the movement and inhale, fill. Let's fist the hands when we come into the cat curl. And then inhale, open and stretch the hands as we come into the cow. Fluid breath and movement. Inviting opening. Now come open into your cactus arms and take the left shoulder around towards the right buttock. And exhale or inhale back to center. Exhale the twist and inhale the release. Feel into a very stable pelvis through knees to feet. The knee does not follow us into the twist. We resist that. That'll help us stretch the fascia of the inner thigh. Fluid breath. And we don't have to go as far. We start feeling into the alignment of our body to keep our joints safe and healthy. Come back to center and reach your hands skyward. Stretch the fingers and fist and stretch and fist. It's all interconnected. I hear so many people say they have osteoarthritis in their hands. We need energy moving. So do this gently if you do have osteoarthritis. But we still want energy to move. Now lift the heels as you open the hands and lower the heels and fist and lift and lower and lift and lower and lift and lower and straighten the legs and take your right foot heel back, turn your front foot forward, open into Virabhadrasana 2. And turn to face your front palm and inhale. Lift it into your dancing warrior, releasing your right hands. And fill your posture with sky, with air. And then exhale, keep the space as you come forward into a high Parsvottanasana. Try to make the spine as spacious as you can. Let there be a stretch right around the navel, in along the spine. Now open into your dancing warrior. Keep that length in the low back and open into your high Parsvottanasana. Keep the space up the spine and then open into high dancing warrior. Now, if you'd like to come lower with your forearm, you can, but try to keep lengthening the spine and then stretch the side body open, lift the heart and exhale, humble warrior. Humble Parsvottanasana. Inhale, we reach heart towards sky. Exhale, we bow towards earth and water. Inhale and exhale. Stretch from the outer heel of the back foot through the front fingertips. and come back to your neutral. And side bend over, releasing your fingers, breathing into your right side body. Stretch from the outer edge of that foot to the fingertips. And then come through neutral. Ground the pelvis to float up. Straighten your front leg and hinge forward into your high trikonasana. Really think of finding length on both sides of the spine. Can you come back to your ujjayi breath? Long spine. Let that be more important than how low you go. Keep your head in line with your spine. A few of you are doing it like this, and that might feel good actually now that I do it. But let's see if we can find that length. Beautiful. And float back up and turn the left leg in and the right leg out. Take your left heel back. So we have that inner spiral at the thigh. Open your arms and bend into your front knee, knee over ankle, and float yourself. Spacious, dancing warrior. Release the shoulders away from the skull, long neck. Fill the pose with breath. And then exhale, keep long, long, long spine. Come into your high Parsvakonasana and pause here. Really try to feel into lengthening that center channel and maintaining that length as you come back into your dancing warrior. Keep trying to find a spaciousness down low in the spine as you come back into your Parsvakonasana. Imagine there's a sleeve of fascia and you can pull it up and lengthen your spine. And come back, long spine into your dancing warrior. And then if you'd like to float down into your humble warrior, your Parsvakonasana on your forearm, then do so. And bow the heart towards earth. And inhale, lift the heart towards the heavens. Keeping the four corners of both feet grounding. Fluid motion, stretching the fascia of the body. And then come back to your neutral and arc the top arm over and breathe, opening into the left side body. And reach the outer edge of the left foot away from the arcing fingers. Feel, can you lift the shoulder and stretch, or reach the hip towards earth to stretch? Does it matter where your pelvis is, front to back? Maybe you sway just slightly to feel into the stretch. And then come through neutral. Ground from the pelvis down to float up. And straightening the front leg, hinge forward into your high trikonasana. Fluid breath. Now here, can you relax your upper trap and release the shoulders away from your ears? Beautiful poses. Beautiful, Anna. Beautiful, Sharon. You're like in my little Zoom room, you're balanced right over each other. It's cool. And then Jory, and yeah, there's a whole line of you. Jory, Debbie, Anna, fluid breath. Now exhale, float back up and turn the right leg in. Step together, heels grounding. Rest the base of your skull back. Palate over heart over pelvis. Root the tailbone and find a gentle lift to the heart. Most of us need to stretch the front fascia of the body a little more because we tend to forward fold. So these muscles become tight and the back muscles become weak. So let's strengthen those back muscles a little bit today. Bring your hands beside your body. And just to understand where your head of your arm bone is in space, curl it forward around the heart. Okay, that pose we see too often in our culture right now. Notice how it brings your head forward. Now open the arm bones out to your sides, wings of the collarbones open, and feel your shoulder blades on the back ribs. The mistake we used to make in yoga is making everybody draw them back too far, which flared the ribs. It's like a gymnast pose. So keep the shoulder blades broad on your back, but let them be on the back ribs. Release the shoulder girdle and let the head float. Now hands beside the hips. As you draw the wrist back, also draw the head of the arm bone back. And then release and draw back and release. and draw back. Fluid breath. Breathe in, root your feet, lengthen your spine. Lift, lift skyward. Beautiful. Fluid breath. Okay, now bring your arms up like wings. Face the palms downward. And take your wrists and your shoulders back again. And let the hands come forward, back again, and forward. Feel into what muscles in the back body are working. Don't let it be a movement of the pelvis. In other words, we're not doing this, right? Keep your pelvis really solid. Let the movement come up in the shoulder girdle. Now turn your palms forward and come back. See if you can feel more of the shoulder blade moving on the back ribs. Yes, they come slightly towards each other and then slightly away. Make sure you're doing the movement from the head of the arm bone, not the wrist. Because if we do this, then we can injure the rotator cuff. Head of the arm bone back. Head of the arm bone back. Now inhale your arms up along your ears. Straight up towards the sky as much as you can. Tailbone earthward. Now take the wrists and the head of the arm bones back. And back. And back. You're not flaring the ribs. Susie, you have so much range of motion. Fluid breath. Wow. Yeah, good. Really ground into your heels. Root your tailbone. Lift the base of the skull. Let your gaze be at least on the horizon, maybe towards the mountain. And release your wings and roll your shoulders. Okay, so those are rhomboid strengthening exercises. I'd like to show you later in the class how we can also do those lying down. But let's come back into our twisting, bringing our chair in to sit on. And you'll need your bolster in a few moments, but we'll start with the chair. Okay. Coming to seated on the chair, knees to the right. Inhale your hands to your heart. And breathe space into the spine, lengthening the spine skyward. Really think again of palate over heart over pelvis. And exhale, turn your head first today. Feel the movement in the neck. And then let the shoulders follow. Let the thoracic spine of the rib cage follow, but keep the belly forward. And pause and breathe here. Now notice how this much of a twist changes the shape of the internal body. It changes the shape of your diaphragm. Feel for the diaphragm moving here. You're compressing one side, lengthening the other. Now continue the twist through the lumbar spine. Keep feeling your breath, moving the fascia inside the body towards space. Fluid ujjayi breath. And then exhale and unwind. Take your legs to the other side. Inhale, hot air balloon lifts you. Exhale, relax the shoulders. Inhale, you grow a little taller. Exhale, turn the head. And then slowly turn the shoulders, the rib cage. Pause. Breathe here. Rearrange slightly towards ease. Feel the pulse of the breath inside. And then allow the lumbar spine to twist. Check that you're not cranking any part of the twist, neck, rib cage, or low back. Invite the breath to massage your fascia, massage your internal organs. And exhale back to neutral. Release yourself forward, one hand resting in the other. And step your feet wide, sit bones right on the edge of your chair. Bring your left hand to your left knee, right arm up along the side. Now really root both sit bones so your pelvic floor is broad. And then really try to Lengthen right out of the center pelvis, right up along the spine. Feel for a lift in the lumbar to the lowest rib ring. Now, can you maintain that if you come lower to your forearm? Keeping length in the spine. You may want to lift your heart towards the sky. Breathe here. Feel into the pose. Maybe you reach the right sit bone away from the right fingertips. Come back to neutral, and maybe you bow your heart towards earth and reach fingertips away from right sit bone. Maybe you turn the palm towards the sky to feel the stretch a little differently in the fascia. And then exhale, root the feet. Float back up and inhale. Left arm alongside ear. Root the sit bones and lift the pelvic floor. Lengthen up through the pelvis to the spine. Lengthen the lumbar. That might mean rooting your tailbone a little bit. And then keep that length if you choose to come lower. And lift your heart towards the sky. And fill the pose with air and breath and space. And then exhale to neutral or bow heart towards earth. Still breathing length into the fascia. Perhaps you take the left sit bone away from the left fingertips. Maybe you nod your pelvis slightly to find a little more opening. And then we come back to neutral and float up. Stepping the feet together, we pause. Invite the breath into your side bodies now. Feel into if you have more awareness of opening the side bodies. If you have more space for the lungs to expand into. Okay. Let's come back to standing. Let's do a couple more things before we do our seated back bend. Let's do Parsvottanasana, bringing the chair forward, or you can do this from a wall or a dresser if you want to walk back instead of push the chair forward. Take your rock step. You choose which foot is forward. Make sure you're wide enough side to side and front to back to stabilize the pose. And ground the four corners of your feet and inhale, lift the arms. Rooting down from the pelvis, hinge forward and bring your hands to your prop. Either step back or push the prop forward and lengthen the spine. Now again, we contraction the spine using the prop, and that's why I like you to start high, because we can really try to pull the pelvis back away from our prop and find length. You can rock your pelvis a little bit to find that length and draw the front hip crease back. And then if you'd like to, you could walk lower, fingertips to the seat of the chair or the rung of the chair or even to your blocks. Just make sure if you're hinging from the pelvis, not the lumbar spine. Fluid breath. Check in with the back foot arch, inner arch. Make sure you're not collapsing the knee and the inner arch. Likewise, make sure you're not rolling out on the pinky toe side and overstretching the lateral collateral ligament. Fluid breath. Deep into the tissue that wants to open. Check in with your neck. Make it easy. And then on an exhale, walk yourself back up out of the pose. Hands to the heart. Mountain pose. Fluid breath. Expansive and easeful breath. Relaxing the face and the shoulders. Step your next foot forward, rock step. And ground your feet and lengthen the spine and lift the heart and lift your arms and stretch. And exhale, hinge forward. Support the spine from beneath as you fold. Take your props forward. Remember, if you're using the chair, you can walk your hands around the edges to have a little bit more width in the shoulders. And don't drop your head through like a heavy fruit. Let the neck lengthen out. You're snorkeling. You're looking right down into the water. Draw the front hip crease back. Traction the pelvis behind you. Breathe into the stretching fascia and invite it to open on the exhale. Walk a little lower if you choose to, but listen to your bodies. This practice is about knowing ourselves. Step down, hands to your props if you want to go lower. Stay with your three-dimensional breath, and if the breath becomes tight, you know you've gone too far. And then walk yourself back up out of the pose. Hands through the heart. Mountain. Relax the fingers, the palms, the wrists. Invite the arms to traction out of the shoulder girdle and the neck to lengthen skyward. Fluid breath deep into the low back. Feel the breath fill the low back body. And see if you can simultaneously feel it lift the shoulder girdle. And then take the chair off to one of the long sides of your mat for revolved triangle. My new thing is to try to give the directions for this without saying a side. So what I am trying, and I want to hear from you after class about it, whether it works, is if you're standing kind of right up by the prop with one foot behind it, I want you to step that foot back. The other foot's forward in your Parsvottanasana, your rock step stance. Okay? Heels as wide as your sit bones. Now, the other foot is off to the side of the prop. Maybe slightly behind it, but off to the side. And we inhale and float the arms up, and we move through our Parsvottanasana, folding forward and bring one hand to the prop and the other arm open like a wing. We're going to twist towards the forward leg. We open into the twist. Remember, guide with your shoulder. Find that length. I'm looking for the spacious quality we just created. Beautiful poses. Very nice. Beautiful alignment of your shoulder, Terry. Nice alignment and length in your neck, John. Fluid breath. Beautiful, wide open, energetic pose, Jill. Jory, Susie, Debbie, Sharon. The back end of your pose looks great. I don't get to see the front of your body. Fluid breath. And then exhale. Release the twist. Use your core to float back up. Beautiful. And then let's take it to the other side. This is your revolved triangle pose. Utthita Parvrita Trikonasana. Grounding your feet. I'm watching Jill. She's working with her front hips and grounding her feet nicely. Anna too. And then as you're ready, yes, beautiful lift, Terry. Staying wide across the shoulder girdle. Yes, nice length, Debbie. Fluid breath. So, Debbie, I might recommend, yep, you take your foot a little farther back. Yeah, yeah, that was beautiful. Fluid breath. There's this alignment you can start to really feel where you feel the legs in their triangle are going to support you as you lean the spine forward. Beautiful, Sharon. Really make sure you're engaging from the shoulder blade on the back body. You're broad across the shoulder girdle and long in the neck. Beautiful shoulder girdle, Susie, Jory, yes. Anna, very nice. Fluid breath. Yeah, you too, Joe. Really nice work with that shoulder on your back body. And then as you're ready, exhale, release. And float yourselves up with your core. Yes. Mountain pose. Now I'm going to watch here because I really want to see you adjust back. We've been in a forward fold. Adjust back to that palate, over the heart, over the pelvis. Notice if you tend to stand your weight in the front of your foot or the back. Let yourself lean back into your heels. That's cool, Jory. Jory's doing a little shake it out to, to let go of the tension. Yeah, okay, in the rib cage. Fluid breath. Yeah, good, Sharon. Yeah, so feel free to move yourselves a little bit to find that ease to rest into your mountain pose. Yeah, that's great. And then let yourselves rest. And really feel for that palate over the heart, over the pelvis. Feel for how you stand on your feet. Do you use your tailbone rooting? Yeah, really nice alignment, Susie. Beautiful. You look at ease. I don't know if you feel at ease, but you look at ease. Yeah, good. I love the idea in Qigong that if we stood here for 20 or 30 minutes, we'd all start to feel where it is we have happen to harbor tension. And we'd learn a lot about our posture that way. So that can be your homework if you want to do it in the morning, in the evening. Stand for half an hour. Feel for where the tension collects. Fluid breath. Okay. Now let's release onto the chair for our supported back bend. So we'll just bring in a bolster, a Gertie ball, a foam roller, a rolled up yoga mat, whatever you've got behind you on the chair. I like the bolster because it does come up and I'm short enough that it comes up and supports my head. Some of you tall people, you might have to put your hands up there. A foam roller might actually work better for the tall people. What we want to do is rest open across the shoulder girdle, rest the head of the arm bones back. And you can rest the arms back if it feels like it's helping you stretch open that front chest. We just don't want the head of the arm bones popped forward as the wrists come back. We really want to rest the head of the arm bone back. And then invite fluid breath through the body. Relaxing on the exhales. Feel the hug of gravity, the earth element. Let the water in your body become heavy in your awareness. See if you can relax a little more deeply with each exhale. And invite space into the body on your three-dimensional breath. If you'd like to engage Ujjayi again, then do. Invite space into any of the tight spaces you find. Invite the air to give you an internal massage. And then exhale back up to your comfortable seat. Palate over heart over pelvis. Sometimes it's easier after a back bend. Okay. Let's turn the chair around, or if you'd like to, come down to your bolster for Marichyasana. You can bring your yoga strap in if you'd like to take it into the full pose. If you're on the chair, you're going to put blocks beneath your left foot to begin, and your strap would just rest across your chair. If you're on a bolster, you won't need the block. You may want the blocks, though, later when we fold forward. Okay. So the left foot would come up onto your blocks and the right leg would be extended, and your sit bones would be on the front edge of your mat if you're on the chair. If you're on the bolster, you want to make sure that you can still have your neutral lumbar curve, and you also are on the front of the bolster so that your sit bones tilt your pubic bone forward. Okay, so that you've got a start to your forward fold. We begin with the forward fold, making sure there's space between our legs. We inhale and reach skyward, and exhale, fold forward between the legs. And we pause here. Now, if you're folding forward from a bolster, put your fingertips on the floor, draw them back towards your body, and lift your heart, keeping the neck long. If you're on the chair, you can rest one hand on your bent knee and the other hand can come towards your shin. Just make sure you don't push down on the long leg knee. And also draw the heart up. You can use the arms as needed. Draw across your shoulder girdle. Find that lift to the heart. So it's not how far you fold here. It's folding from the hips, keeping that long spine we've been working on. And then exhale, release. Then we go into the second phase where we inhale, lengthen up, and exhale, fold forward again. This time, the left arm comes to the inside of the left leg. And it can be as high, you could be way up here in the twist, or you could be low. And those of you on the bolster could come down towards your forearm. And we lift the right wing, guided with our shoulder blade. Beautiful. Oh, I love how integrated your shoulders are. All the way around the room. That looks really nice, John. Nice length to your spine. Fluid breath. You too, Anna. Really nice length. Exhale. Release your lifted hand. And unfold. Okay, so the last version, we fold forward. And if you'd like to, you can bring the front arm around your shin. You may want to have the strap in it to begin with. You bring the front arm around the shin, but the strap is on the other side. And the hand is palm up. So it's like this. I'll do it right here. And you take the strap in both hands, both palms up. And then you lift the right shoulder blade onto the back and look back out over the shoulder blades. Yeah. And you can do either any of the previous poses. If you do the twist with the strap, still think about broadening across your shoulder girdle, finding the shoulder blades. Beautiful, Sharon. Nice opening. Yeah, you too, Debbie. That looks really good. Make sure that the arm around your shin, you're pressing back with the head of the arm bone so that you're not popping it forward. Yeah, beautiful, Joe. Yes, these look really good. Susie and John, beautiful. And Jory, that looks beautiful. Really nice. Good, Terry. Nice integrated shoulder. Now exhale, release, and unfold. Okay, let's try the other side. I'm watching you more today. This is good. Okay, So as you're ready, come in. Make sure that you align yourself with that lengthened spine, pelvis to heart to palate. And then inhale, reach for the sky. Really find that length. And then exhale, fold. And just stay in the forward fold. How are you going to lift the heart and lengthen the neck out of your shoulder girdle? Because that's where you want to start with the twist. So we practice that. Good choice, Anna. That looks good. So we're not coming into the twist yet, just the forward fold. We're finding that length. Your hands can come down to your legs if you like. They don't have to stay up by your shoulders. But you lift your heart and you broaden across the collarbones. Yes. And then unhinge. That looks beautiful. Okay. Second step, we twist. So we inhale, lengthen the spine. Find that spacious spine and hinge from the pelvis. Hinge forward. You want me to do it with you? Some of you are looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm watching you. Okay, forward, forward, forward. The inside hand, the right arm comes to the inside of your right leg, maybe down to the blocks, maybe just across the knee. And then you open the left shoulder out and you lift and lengthen. But you make sure you can release your shoulders away from the neck and you can stay somewhat long in the spine. It does compress as you twist. But this helps us stretch open the fascia around the spine. And then we exhale, release, and unfold. Okay, for the last one, do it on the bolster this time. We inhale and lift the arms. We exhale, hinge from the pelvis, long spine, long spine. Come down into the pose. And then bring your forward arm around the shin to hold the strap. And then go ahead and lift the wing for a moment. Feel that shoulder blade come onto the back body and then reach the hand back. And now broaden across the shoulder girdles. That might mean taking your hands somewhat apart behind your back on the strap. Lean into the right leg with your right body and hold. Lean back with the leg into the body so that you're holding that, providing support and stability for the twist. And then exhale or release and unfold. Let's open the knees wide and bring the palms of the feet together if you're on your bolster. You can be right here. If you're on the chair, bring the bolster in across the front of your chair. And just rest your knees wide like this. Okay, so either one is fine. Fluid breath. If you're on the bolster, you're seated down, feet together. You may want a blanket under your feet if it's hard on your ankles. And then we try to really lift up out of the pelvis. So this is a good place to practice that myofascial lengthening out of the pelvis towards the sky. Yeah, beautiful. Really nice open hearts, everyone. Now, can you rest the palate over the heart, over the pelvis here? And then here's where you might want your blocks on the floor as you hinge slightly forward into a forward fold. Still hinging from the pelvis, heart open. Don't drop your head like a heavy fruit forward. Yeah, beautiful alignment. Really nice. I wish I could bring all of you with me as assistants at Esalen so you can show people the alignment. Because I got a feeling we'll be working on where the head is in space and you all have it down. Fluid breath. Exhale, come back up. And let's bring the knees together and come up. Okay, let's let ourselves rest back today in a heart opening restorative if that feels good to you. So I like the one where you lay down the bolster or the long blanket roll. If you're on a bolster, you may need a block for your head because your pelvis, your whole body's on the bolster. And then you might want a pillow. You might want your eye pillow and your socks, whatever you need to be comfortable. And you might want a blanket. And so we'll lay down the long blanket or the long blanket roll, and you can bring your calves up onto your chair if you'd like. And cover yourself up and fidget as you need to get comfortable. And then if it's comfortable, let the head of your arm bones rest back, collarbones broad, palms up. This will help you stretch that pec minor with the hug of gravity that most of us have tight, that pulls us forward out of alignment. So we let gravity assist us. So the most important thing here in this gravitational assist is that we relax into the pose, that we breathe three-dimensionally into the chest to massage those front chest muscles that get tight. So take a few exaggerated inhales. I don't often tell you to do that. Inviting that front chest tissue to stretch from the inside. Feel how the fascia connects your arm bone into that front rib cage. Fluid breath. Come back to the ujjayi sound. And imagine that the exhaled ha ocean wave can carry out tension and stiffness and anxiety, stress. You're like a seaside cave being polished by high tide. Settle into the hug of gravity. Let the heaviness of the water in your body rest like it's resting in a still pool. Invite in the air to stretch the spaces open inside. And acknowledge the fire of your intentions that brought you to practice today. See if you can rest gently at the bottom of your exhales and the tops of your inhales, feeling into the space and quiet before the breath rolls. And then settle back into your natural breath. Release into your own awareness. See if you can be with this moment, this breath. Now gently bring energy back into fingers and toes. And as you're ready, begin to move in whatever way feels good. I like putting my feet on the edge of the chair and just rolling my spine. But you do what feels good to you. And then as you're ready, gently begin to roll yourselves over. Maybe you rest on your side for a few breaths, integrating the practice. Maybe you just come on up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. We'll sit together a moment. So all the asanas of yoga are designed to bring us back here to seated meditation. On this beautiful autumn day, at least it is here in Grouse Valley, let's feel into the earth beneath us and the waters that we know on that earth. Let's feel into the warmth of fire, the energy from the food we eat. And then breathing in air, feel the space inside and the space all around us. Let's inhale our hands to our hearts. May we bring the elements and the doshas to balance in our bodies, minds, and hearts in our practice. Namaste. Thank you.